10, 9, ignition sequence start, 6.
Hello and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in the Rocket Pool community. My name is Wack. Today is December 5th and we're going to get started here with this news from the Rocket Pool intern who says Rocket Pool is currently the 6th largest Ethereum protocol by TVL on DeFi Llama. So there's a screenshot here where you see there's Lido's number 1, Maker number 2, Aave number 3, Uniswap number 4, Summer.fi number 5, and then we have Rocket Pool at number 6. So it's the second biggest liquid staking protocol, and it's the 6th overall. So let's have a look on DeFi Llama and see what we can see there. So if you go to the Ethereum section, so we're just looking at Ethereum, and you can see the TVL, historical TVL, and how it peaked kind of in 2021 at over 100 billion, 110 billion, pretty much somewhere around there, USD, and that was really great. And of course we know we're a lot lower than that now, around 28 million USD, billion USD. But over here, as you scroll down, you can see that Rocket Pool is number 6, and it currently has a TVL of 2.595 billion, which of course is much smaller than Lido, who's way ahead at 20 billion. But then Maker is at around 8.5 billion, Aave around 5.3 billion, Uniswap around 3.4 billion, and Summerchain at 3.13 billion. So Rocket Pool's number 6, and that's really cool. So now let's have a look and see. Let's see what the issue with this is. So we go to trading, and we had here Jasper shared the tweet from the intern saying this is a new record, a new all-time high for Rocket Pool. But then Invis says our TVL is more like 2.25 billion. And Jasper says that actually still is enough for 6th, but it's actually not, because Instadap is ahead of that. So here, there's discussion about how the TVL is counted and what there's some mistakes, and Invis says that we didn't toggle some of the you didn't enable all the toggles, so it shows that Rocket Pool is higher than it should be. So then Invis shared some the TVL bot that he made, the command for the Rocket Watch bot, and it shows that the total TVL was around 2.248 billion, so about 2.25 billion basically. So the numbers, how everyone's kind of counting it, is not 100% right, but it's kind of it's still trending up really nice. It's trending up nicely, and that has a couple of factors that go into it. So of course we know that as the Ethereum price goes up, then the TVL increases in line with that, because most of our TVL is Ethereum, and then as the RPL token hopefully outpaces Ethereum on the way up, then that will give a boost to the TVL as well. So those are a couple of things that kind of go into that TVL number. On DeFi Llama, there's some ideas of double counting and staking, and there's some issues with their methodology, and I mentioned that on Rocket Fuel before. But it's nice that for normies we can just be like, hey look, 6th, and kind of not lie necessarily, but not you can just kind of not tell the whole truth maybe. But anyway, I think it's just a matter of time before we really start going up those rankings. As you can see that the 5th spot hopefully isn't too far away, and same with Uniswap in 4th. Aave in 3rd I think is a bit of a stretch away. We'd need RPL to really go gangbusters to reach that point, which I'm hoping that we will. If we get anywhere close to all-time high RPL price against ETH, then we will definitely climb up those rankings quite strongly. So that's a nice little thing to start the episode with. Okay, so yesterday we had an update from Nethermind. So Nethermind here had update 1.23.0, and this has optimism support and a whole bunch of other things as well. And normally, the reason why I'm covering this is normally we get a Smartnode update, and then we get clients updating after that. However, this was actually the opposite. So we had Nethermind update yesterday, and then we have 1.11.1, which was the latest version that was released yesterday. So what's really funny is normally when Joe would release the versions, we would get the announcements in release, and then we'd get all the other information kind of coming out. But Fornax was the one to update it yesterday, and he actually pushed it to GitHub before he wrote the post in the Discord. So people were getting notifications from Beacon Chain and from GitHub saying that there's been an update to this repository, and new software version is available before Fornax was able to get the post out. And the post is right here. As you can see, he says, hello there, here are node operators. While most of the Smartnode work is currently focused on the Houston upgrade, we just released the maintenance upgrade of version 1.11.1. It's a recommended update for all node operators due to client upgrades and new features. All right, let's get the key changes. So let's have a look. So we have Bisu update, Geth update, Nethermind update, Nimbus, Prism, Teku, and Loadstar was not updated to the latest version due to a bug. So then we had this news here as well going on, saying the Smartnode change added was rescue node was added, and we covered this on Rocket Fuel last week, where it was waiting to be added to the next version of the Smartnode stack. It says you can now disable the rescue node directly from the Smartnode terminal user interface. Users still need credentials from rescue node website, but they now won't need to manually edit the validated.yml file configuration file. After you have a valid credential, enable rescue node add-on and fill the username and password fields. Thanks patches for this contribution. Then we also have rescue node info on the node status command. This command now shows how long your rescue node credentials are going to be valid. There's new installations will use a path-based state scheme. That's the PBSS, and for Geth as default. So the Fornax is thanks object for this contribution, and then added the option to change the beacon node P2P quick port settings. This is not mandatory, but users who wish to benefit from the faster quick protocol will also need to forward this port to the port IP address on their router configuration. The default port is 9002 UDP, and currently the quick protocol is only used by Lighthouse version 4.5.0. So this last part here had some issues that kind of came up with it. So in support, we started getting messages about there being problems, and it says the new quick settings in the TUI is likely the same port as the ETH2 client. Check it and change it. So yeah, this was like Moonwhale here. I had updates saying using Loadstar. First, ETH2 didn't stop when stopping service. Second time ETH2 did stop. However, when trying to restart service, I get this message validating blah blah blah. Ports must be unique. So there was an issue where basically the ports were being used twice, and there was an issue there. So object says change the quick port to 9003, and then object wrote a usebot command for the RocketWatch bot saying how to fix quick, and then Smartnode version 1.11.1 added the option to expose an additional port to use the quick protocol for P2P connections. By default, this port is 9002. If you've already been using this port for regular P2P connections, you need to change the quick port to use a different port number. So it says how to tell me how to fix it. So it says go to Rocket Pool and then service config, and then go to E2 section and change the P2P quick port to a different port number like 9003, then press enter and save your changes. So this is how to actually use quick. It only works in Lighthouse. So this is each consensus client now requires two ports, 9001 and 9002 by default. If you're running more than one node, think about how you want to assign those ports to your nodes. You can assign any port you like, but each port number has to be unique, and numbering should make sense to you. So it says run Rocket Pool service config and set unique P2P port and P2P quick port on each node. Open your router settings and forward TCP and UDP on the P2P port, and then there's some technical details there that you can go ahead and read. So then we actually got another message from Fornax in releases saying, good morning, the latest release will have issues if your node is already using port 9002 for any reason, like a fallback or a second node. If that's the case, you should change the quick port settings. So it says run rocket pool SC, go to ETH2 section, which is what we just talked about. So then that was fixed. So a couple of people kind of encountered that bug right away, yeah, we need to get that fixed. So what happened after that was the Rocket Pool Twitter recently has been like really on top of things. So there was a new Twitter thread released about the latest version, and well, just a tweet actually saying the Smartnode has been updated to version 1.11.1, the latest version recommended for all node operators due to multiple client upgrades, plus new features including improved support for the rescue node. And then there's more details of the GitHub. And then finally we have the PWAP that Schifrin puts out every update, and here you can see that it says update your Smartnode to version 1.11.1 within 24 hours to receive a PWAP. This will be the final PWAP for this design series. There'll be a raffle held for all PWAP holders of the series. Leave a screenshot of your Smartnode's version in this thread to receive the PWAP. So then you can see that there's a PWAP, and this is more raffle details to come soon. So you can update your client and get the PWAP, and then you'll get a raffle. And I'm not sure how money will be raised for that raffle or where it will come from, but that should be pretty cool. So thank you, Schifrin, for doing that, of course, as always. Okay, next we had a whole bunch of drama that just came in to the deposit pool and like the queue. The rETH burning. So this story is really fresh, so it's still kind of breaking, so I don't have all the details maybe right now. But what happened is, around a little while ago, we got some burn from this mega whale address. 100 rETH was burned, and then another 900 rETH was burned, and then another 9,000 rETH was burned. So that was a total of 10,000 rETH was burned by this person. And then the deposit pool kind of went wild, where people started depositing into the deposit pool. So 1,600 ETH here, another 858, another 1,500 ETH here as well, and then 450 more, and then 430 more, and then the whale came back and burned another 10,000 rETH into the deposit pool. So basically emptied out the deposit pool. And then we got a whole bunch of deposits coming through, like 163, 750, another 1,000, and that's where we stand right now. So let's have a look at the deposit pool and see what it looks like. Actually, we don't even need to look at the deposit pool, because at the bottom, it says the live deposit pool status. It tells us now that there's 8,990 ETH in the deposit pool out of a maximum of 18,000. So it's about half full. So you can see the total amount of ETH that was deposited. Let me actually give that a quick refresh so we can see that this was actually one of the highest days of ETH being deposited into the deposit pool, of 6,800 already, which is the highest since like months, basically, all the way back to, the quick look tells me that since July 21st, this is the biggest day of deposit since July 21st. So there's a chance that people who've been waiting to mint rETH from the deposit pool are now free to do that, because there's space for around 9,000 more ETH to go in there. So that's a whole lot of space. So Sleety was one of the first people to mention it in trading, saying what's going on in events, and Object says the deposit pool is not full anymore. So people started trying to figure out what happened right away. Nick started poking around addresses, saying they sent 30,000 WST ETH to a wallet with 1.5 billion holding, 1.5 billion in tokens, and they swapped for DAI. It says something about, like, when the Object says, when will the deposit pool be full again? So will it be filled within an hour? That's not likely to happen. In less than 24 hours, by the end of the week, or after Christmas. So most people seem to think that'll be filled within 24 hours, which is interesting. So then the question was, like, who is this person? That it sounds like an institutional player or some kind of whale. And then people started kind of asking the question, like, what's going on, and who is this person? And there's there was a whole lot of discussion about that going on. So I think there was some more information here, but I didn't have time to have a look at it. But yeah, there was someone who was saying that it might be Rune from the Maker protocol, but I don't know. That's a very, very early speculation right now. So as soon as we get more information about that, I'll cover it in tomorrow's episode, because that was some big whale splashes right there. So yeah. Okay, next we got some updates from the benefactor. So there was a PWAP for round 2 that was put out yesterday. Sleety did all the work for that, and benefactor shared the link to mint that PWAP. I think I covered that in yesterday's episode. And then we also had Benny telling people that was, they're finished with RPL, and that if you wanted to get a PWAP, you could reach out and try to get a PWAP. So there was some stuff going on there. And then today was a message saying all RPL now sent and PWAP list made. Sleety will have PWAP today, and then that was it. So another round of benefacting, round 3 is finished. This time there was a little bit less money to distribute to the community than in previous rounds. The first 2 rounds I think was 1,000 RPL for both of them, and this one I think was around 500 or 600 in total, somewhere around there. But this one was driven by the community, which was really exciting. I think so here Moist Owlbear was saying, aren't you like a saint that airdrops RPL to contributors? And Benny said, just a humble community member, sent over 600 RPL in the last few days. And benefactor then says, this time RPL came from Whack, Thomas, Anonymous Whale, and community members. I just send it to people. So, and then there was a little gif there of Benny going down the slide, waving and going down the slide. So yeah, that was a really nice long weekend, I guess, of Benny being in trading. I think this time it was kind of lost the magic a little bit, because the transactions were being sent out using Disperse instead of to individuals, and I think Benny said something about it costing a lot of gas, basically. So he was trying to be more frugal. So yeah. Okay, let's see what's going on over here with the Rocket Pool Rescue Node. So the Rescue Node had an issue saying that it's come to our attention that new behavior in the chain safe, I don't know how to pronounce that, chainsafe.eth. Oh, okay. Chainsafe Loadstar VC has broken Rescue Node authentication. It says we'll deploy a workaround on our end later today. In the meantime, version 1.11.3 of Loadstar is likely incompatible with the Rescue Node. And then a little while later, we got an update saying we pushed a new version of the Rescue proxy that is compatible with the way Loadstar works. So this is now resolved. So patches to the Rescue, we got that fixed up. So if you are on Loadstar and if you need to use the Rescue Node, you're all good to update to the latest version, because it's all working properly now. So that Rescue Node is really paying for itself with the GMC. Good stuff. Okay. Next, we had the screenshot that Jasper shared again from the Rocket Pool intern. The intern's doing amazing stuff. Seriously, like really cool intern. Showing that Rocket Pool's rETH has the highest APR of the major LSTs right now, according to DeFi Llama. So Lido have 3.6%, Rocket Pool has 3.92%, Binance has 3.45%, Frax Ether has 3.73%, Coinbase has 3.76%, and Stakewise has 2.5%. So if you have a look, there's some charts here that Jasper shares as well. So this is trailing month APY, and the Rocket Pool rate is kind of trending upwards. And then with trailing week APY, you can see that just about make out that the Rocket Pool little orange squiggly line is higher than other lines that are being tracked here. Now, this is really nice for marketing purposes, of course, but the reality of it is that, we got that lottery block recently, and that has really skewed the data. And this data is really volatile, right? Like it goes up and down depending on what kind of MEV tips you're getting and MEV boost blocks you're proposing. And as soon as you get one of those big ones, or if you get a couple of those big ones, it's nice to kind of lean into them and be like, woohoo, we've got the best APR. But the reality of the matter is that the APR is kind of fluctuating quite a lot, and sometimes it's down, sometimes it's up, but now it's up, so we get to scream it from the rooftops. Okay, next we had this user Petrosini, who came into general yesterday, not in trading, saying, I staked about 21 ETH on Rocket Pool in 2021, but up till now I can't find any money or any return of the investment. Many times I tried to reach them on X to present my concerns, but unfortunately to no avail. So Maverick says, hey there, you come to the right place. First of all, be careful with people who DM you and stick to public discussions here. If you liquid stake the ETH, then you would have got the rETH token in return, which represents your staked ETH. The easiest way to check that would have a look at your wallet address on Etherscan. So Petrosini says, I checked my wallet, point I saw rETH, and then on 1st of June, it was no longer in my wallet. So Maverick says, if you have a look at your wallet address on Etherscan, you'll be able to see all of the different coins and tokens and transactions. Halululo says, would you be willing to give us the transaction hash so we can have a look? And then he says, you mean my wallet address? And he says, that works too. We'll just have a look. So then there's the address that Petrosini shares. And here, Halululo says, I have bad news. There's a screenshot of a transaction saying that you basically interacted with a drainer. So this fake phishing 76183 interacted with the rETH that you had in your wallet. And then Petrosini says, what does this mean? Halululo says you clicked on a scam link and signed a transaction that allowed them to steal your rETH. Etherscan has the address you interacted with flagged as a known wallet drainer. I'm sorry. So Petrosini says, so it's gone. And Modest says, oh my God. Halululo says yes. And then it was gone. So then they started like Halululo and Patches kind of like looked around for transactions around that, and there was like approval, which is what caused it to go. So then Petrosini says, what happens with the profit that I should have gotten from my stake? And it says basically that is rETH appreciates in value against ETH, which is where its value comes from. There's no rebasing or separate vault where you can claim your rewards or anything like that. So all of that rewards is also gone. So Petrosini then revoked it, but it was too late. Everything was already drained by that point, and there was some issues that they had. So this again is a reminder that this is what Halululo explains, is you signed a transaction that allowed the drainer to transfer the rETH out of your wallet. You having revoked the permission after this means that it won't happen again if you add more rETH now, but it won't undo the previous transaction. So the person just lost around $50,000 of ETH, I think, somewhere around that region. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was somewhere around there. And then Petrosini says, I heard of Blast. How does one go about it? So yeah, but it's not nice, but this is a horrible situation. But please be careful what you're signing. Please maintain wallet hygiene, where you have a cold storage wallet that never ever interacts with any contract. The only thing that happens there is transfers in and out, and then have a separate wallet where you kind of have transfers to trusted people or account or wallets, basically other wallets, whether you send and receive that to other people, and then have a third wallet where you actually use your hot wallet activities, and that can be used for trading or contract interactions, and try to keep that at a minimum. Don't use that. Only use that for contract interactions, so that way you maintain the hygiene and you keep a separation. So if someone does gain access to your hot wallet, the one that you sign, malicious contract or anything like that, then by that point you've already your funds are safe elsewhere. So it's hard, I know, like, to add those extra steps, but a small mistake can cost you thousands of dollars, so please be careful. Okay, next we had this update from Moist Owlbear, who said that he got an idea, and that there's he says, I'm planning to propose ETH staking for an L1 bridge, and I want rETH to be one, if not the majority of the LST to be used as part of the staking mechanism. So Jasper says, do say more. Object says, plan for blue balling trading, because he sent a DM. So he said, I'll write a wall of text. So he says, Blur's Blast LST uses Ether for staking and it's a decent mechanic, minus the fact that Blur's approach to it was shit. So he says, it got me thinking. I'm close to the Ronin network. I built contracts for them, and I guess build contracts for them in the future. So I thought, why not actually build an Ether staking module on top of the Ronin bridge? And here's an infographic to understand what happens. So, you have mainnet, and then you have a stake manager, and you can stake and unstake. And then there's a Ronin bridge, and across the Ronin bridge, you can have wrapped ETH or STRETH, like staked rETH. And you can do that per epoch. You can deposit it anytime, but you can withdraw it once per epoch. So there's information here about how you'll get ETH back and forth, and how it goes to staking. So it says users on Ronin can deposit their wrapped ETH in a staked Ronin ETH contract, STRETH, and then the wrapped ETH locked on the STRETH contract is essentially ETH that can be staked on mainnet. The Ronin validators bridge operators will have to send the value of the cumulated staked ETH on the STRETH contract back to mainnet to update the amount of stakeable Ether to be put in various LSTs. My thought was initially rETH, Rocket Pool, Lido, I know, but I need diversification and maybe Frax ETH. The idea of using a new contract, STRETH, to give the choice for users to opt in and out, but also to solve the liquidity crisis problem. We want instant withdrawals. If Ether is staked and people want to withdraw, they need to wait for a lot of time for withdrawals to happen if there's not enough liquidity. By separating wrapped ETH and STRETH, users can withdraw their Ronin staked ETH back to rETH, but must go through the withdrawal mechanism, which keeps the bridge untouched. He says they've got there's 20,000 ETH with a deposit pool. Layer 1 Ronin bridge has 40,000 Ether. Already deposited ETH into rETH would be very hard, but I want to integrate as much rETH as possible. So this was like a really cool idea, and I'm really interested to see how this is going to develop from Moist Owl Bear. Okay, next we had this update from Jasper from the Diva system. So let's actually go look at the tweet, and then we'll come back to see what Jasper says. So Jasper's tweet here was from the Diva account saying, Octant app announces a collaboration with Diva Staking, committing to up to 100,000 ETH to decentralized staking for public goods funding. This brings Diva's pre-launch commitments to over $200 million, making it already a top 5 liquid staking solution. More in the thread below. So then Octant have the partnership as well that they've announced, and they're saying that they've got a big announcement to share. They're joining forces with Diva. So then Diva here says that Ethereum's top 3 pools control 50% of staking power, with 91% being permission centralized. New on-chain alternatives are crucial. So then they're saying Octant will be kind of joining forces with Diva, and there's some information about how that's going to go. So for those of you who don't know, Gollum, Octant was Gollum. You might know them as Gollum, and they're the ones who are setting up staking, and then the rewards from the staking go to public good funding. So they want to put some of that 100,000 ETH of that into Diva, which is huge news. So then what did we see from people in trading talking about this? So they were saying, first of all, Shifrin says we need to up our partnership game, and then Valdov says, what does up to 100,000 ETH mean? And will it actually reach that amount? And then people are just kind of talking about how that Rocket Pool could be kind of making statements saying, we're battle tested, put ETH here, and then there was a whole bunch of discussion going on about that. But that is a huge boost to Diva, which is a great coup for them. So congratulations to Diva. And I think that, this will really help their TVL for when they launch. So it's really good stuff. Okay, so next we have this comment from Gentleman James, where he says, does Rocket Pool have a similar concept to Stader, where one node can host many validators? Or perhaps Rocket Pool terminology, I think, would be one node can host many mini pools. So Halululo says, yes, one node can have many mini pools. Fun fact, Stader is basically a Rocket Pool fork. So Gentleman James says that must present opportunities for hosting savings. Strange that all nodes seem to enforce one node, one mini pool. That's why you have to pay $750 for each one. It says that's just their business model. If you have a lot of mini pools, it makes more sense to rent a dedicated server instead of going with all nodes, but that will cost a decent bit more than $7.50 a month. So Gentleman James saying, Stader being a fork of Rocket Pool could be seen as a good thing. And Halulu says, yes, sure, imitation is flattery and all that. And Gentleman James says, now sound like a shill. I'm not, but also means it's positive when evaluating Stader that the concepts have been tested. And then Chaos says it's a fork of Stader, but made some strange design choices themselves, which don't speak well to its trustworthiness. I would not evaluate Stader purely on the basis of it being a Rocket Pool fork. And then Halulu says, sure, the main thing people here don't like them too much is that most changes they claim are improvements of Rocket Pool are really just taking on more risk that Rocket Pool wasn't comfortable with, like carrying a much lower bond without any other changes that would make it safe. So at this point, I want to add that, Stader have started making some of the changes that people were unsure about, and started to setting up withdrawal addresses and things like that, not being the same withdrawal address, not being node address, and other things like that as well. And the fork stuff, there's lots of different aspects to the Stader stack, and some of them are novel and some of them have been forked from Rocket Pool, and that's the point of open source software. Provided the correct attributations are given and credits are given, then that's what it's kind of there for. So eventually we actually got a person from Stader coming in and making some comments. Like over here, this is Galactic Minter saying requiring a much lower bond without any other changes that would make it safe, and saying that's simply false. Stader collects pre-signed exit messages that can be broadcast by Stader. This acts as quality control with regards to bad nodes / validators. And then Pateris says, are these pre-signed exit messages still stored on the central server hosted by Stader with no source code published? And Galactic Minter says, we can acknowledge that the statement put out earlier is false, or we are all pretending to let it slip because it is here. If you didn't know, absolutely no worries. The attempt is not to accuse but to inform that the objective security measures that make 4ETH safe, and he's referring to Halululo, and saying also someone pinged me on the side to verify the claim of the statement. This is just to set the record straight. And Invisible Owl says, Invis says this person's also a Stader employee, by the way. And then there was some discussion that kind of came up as again. So Val says, this analysis headed for Rocket Pool and shared with Stader before the release. It assumes forced exits are available and concludes that even with forced exits, LEB4s or 4ETH validators are not safe. Pateri says that, them being on a central place, that is the issue. And then here Valdorf says, for the record, I was DMing with someone from the Stader team about this and they blocked me, which is when I decided I was done trying to defend you all. It's safe enough if we assume that MEV market never heats up much at all. I think that's a bad assumption to base your protocol safety on. And then he's copying and pasting messages from Val's paper saying LEB8s without forced exits, roughly 1 in 200 mini pools would profit from stealing, and LEB4s with forced exits, roughly 1 in 120 mini pools would profit from stealing. And this says, also up until recently, you guys had major security issues with node operator wallets that specifically you downplayed until you guys silently fixed it. It doesn't really spark trust behind any of your claims. And Galactic Minter says, if it was silent, how do you know? Are you invisible and silent? And so it's just being a smart ass, basically. And then Val says, here's the relevant total value loss plot, which with points added for you at 4 and 4.4. So you can see that there is the penalty and the percent of total value lost after applying a penalty. So if it's the higher the penalty, the lower the percentage. So it says LEB arguably is arguably on the edge as it is. I agree, actually. And then this says, do you guys ever acknowledge us for calling it out? No, you simply downplayed it. And it says there's a big forum post about it, Invisible Owl, and then saying that 4 is beyond the pale, losing 11% of all revenue and making node operators earn a lot more is a rough. And making node operators on a lot more is a rough protocol design. Rocket Pool is also moving towards much stronger position for mega pools that allow us to be much safer than LEB8s. And then Galactic Winter says, I'm glad Rocket Pool is moving there. We have some efforts to work against MEV misappropriation as well. And then Valdo says, thanks for acknowledging half of what I wrote. The other half is that we're much safer today. And Galactic Minter says, I would argue against that much. So Val says, I guess you're welcome to argue that 7.5 and 10.4 are similar, or that 6.6 and 10.2 are similar. And he says, you mean 0.0102% and 0.0066% of rewards? Am I reading this right? And then Val says, so this is how it initially started with us. You said you talked about it and decided this on purpose. You said it wasn't a security risk. It took a massive amount of pushing to have you acknowledge that it was strictly worse security. And then Val's got his screenshots to kind of talk about it, show them just that, this was actually legit. Like, they literally said we can agree to disagree. Let's only move forward with improvements once the DAO votes for it. It's not a security risk for most node operators, which it obviously is. Well, then, they had the numbers, and Val says, no, sorry, you're right, the chart is mislabeled. I apologize. I should say portion of the total value, or use percents on the y-axis and gets multiplied by 100. So then there was back and forth, basically, that you can go and read, and you can go check it all out, because there was a lot of back and forth here. So then the question kind of moved about the signed messages. So Patera says, where does Stader store the pre-signed exit messages? And then they said that they're stored across cloud providers in multiple geographies. There are internal efforts to move this to a distributed storage. So Patera says, can you point me to the GitHub repo of the source code that stores the pre-signed exit messages? And Galactic Minter says, it's a closed repository for now. We'll let you know as soon as we put it out in the open. So Jasper says, that's not trustworthy at all. Is there a timeline? And he says, there's some technical challenges in us wanting to make this distributed, so we're working through those. You can expect this in Q2 of 2024. So yeah, that was quite a feisty discussion that you can go and follow the text on that in the description below and see what comes up for you. Okay, finally, I got a screenshot here of the NodeSet Discord, and it's me saying hi, and my name is highlighted in green. And then Nick has a shout out to Asnita saying for being our 100th verified operator. So this is in reference to NodeSet having another set of interviews for new node operators. I had my interview yesterday, and Nick welcomed me aboard to being a NodeSet node operator. So they're verifying that I was a real human being, had some questions about my node setup and my node operation experience, history, my comfort with the command line interface, all that kind of stuff. And it was really straightforward, mostly just making sure that I was a real human being and not not a cyber attack. But yeah, that's that was a nice thing. So they've got a vault with Stakewise that will be up, a Gravita vault that NodeSet node operators will be running on Stakewise, and then the main show is Constellation, which will be when it opens up to Rocket Pool, and then they have their own token, the XRETH and XRPL. So there's a whole lot of exciting stuff happening. Now they have 100 node operators on its way to 500 node operators, which then I guess the goal will be, I don't know this for sure, but I guess the goal will be to go to different services, go to different providers, go to different protocols and tell them, look, we've got all these node operators, they will run your services for you, there will be L2 sequences for you, they will run validators for you, they will proof things for you, all that kind of stuff. I don't know exactly what the technicals of it all will be, but it seems like they're amassing quite a good group of people, and it's going to be really interesting to see how all that works out. So on that note, I'm going to end today's episode. Thank you all for listening, watching, and being part of the Rocket Fuel community. I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.